Previously on Avatar.
You know what's really weird? Sometimes in the previously on Avatar segment, they use different voice takes for lines. Here's the clip they used for Iroh getting hurt in the recap part for this episode. And here's the clip for Iroh getting hurt in the actual episode where he got hurt. Wait, hold on, that's not how your sleeping bags were set up at all a second ago. You can actually see Sokka open his eye angrily here as Aang wakes him up before he tries to force himself back to sleep. Whoa, how did Momo do that? Appa's like 10 feet away from Sokka and it doesn't seem like Momo moves away from the camera at all. Interesting to note that Sokka actually sleeps with his hair up when they're on the road, but when they have somewhere comfortable to sleep, he lets it down.
Sorry, snoozles. We'll do our earthbending as quietly as we can.
I like that Toph has a slightly larger boulder than Aang does in this one quick shot.
Rock is a stubborn element. If you're going to move it, you've got to be like a rock yourself.
Once again, Toph immediately brings up the mindset that comes with bending. It's not just a physical art, it's mental. It's not some crazy high fantasy magic system where they have a finite amount of magic energy. It's a mindset and discipline. I think that's so cool. In this really sad Iroh dream, the happy part actually has the same kind of bright filter over it as Aang's happy past memories did when he recounted them in the storm. But when it transitions to him mourning by his son's grave, it takes on the darker color scheme that Zuko's story had in that episode.
Good. That was very bracing.
There's this really funny joke with Iroh and all, but low-key, Zuko pours a cup for himself too and never touches it. He knows he fucked it.
I know what you're gonna say. She's my sister and I should be trying to get along with her.
No, she's crazy and she needs to go down.
This is why Iroh's so great, man. He's an idealist and a pragmatist. You'd think that this wise old mentor would preach pacifism and gentleness, but that would be so out of line from what the viewer's been shown is necessary in this situation. So Iroh saying that she needs to be dealt with, despite his kind nature, feels super gratifying.
What if I came at the boulder from a different angle?
No, that's the problem. You've got to stop thinking like an airbender. There's no different angle, no clever solution, no trickety trick that's gonna move that rock.
Once again, Aang's troubles with learning a bending art aren't physical problems, they're mental blocks. Aang can do all of the moves, sure, but he doesn't understand the philosophy. Sound familiar? This is exactly in line with what he struggled with Zhang. The only difference here is that he's expected to get it right away from Toph, the exact opposite of what Zhang was trying to preach. So it's still interesting. Genius.
Keep your knees high, twinkle toes!
Holy fuck, how strong is Aang? I'm just gonna do some back-of-the-napkin math here real quick to calculate how much that boulder should weigh, and yeah, that shit's heavy. This little drill is kind of similar to what those two dweebs from Master Yi School were doing. They were just doing it with sand, and Aang's not doing it at all. Weird to think, but I'm about 99% sure that the last person to ever use this specific club is Aang, right now, not Sokka. Super obvious one, but why did Toph feel the need to leave a hole for her eyes in the rock armor? Did she really need Aang to look her in the eyes and push her back or something? Wait, so I'm gonna believe that saber-toothed moose lions are omnivores? I mean, I guess it makes sense if you're adding the two animals together, but still, you just wouldn't think.
You're awfully cute, but unfortunately for you, you're made of meat.
It looks like in this shot, there's nowhere near a hole big enough anywhere close to where Sokka's gonna jump. And like, why would Sokka jump into a hole, basically? It doesn't look like it collapsed out from underneath him or anything.
Gotcha! You are one lucky little meat creature.
He's right.
Lightning is a pure expression of firebending, without aggression. It is not fueled by rage or emotion the way other firebending is. Some call lightning the cold-blooded fire. It is precise and deadly, like Azula. To perform the technique requires peace of mind.
Once again, Iroh stresses the mentality of bending, the unique calmness someone needs to harness lightning. He doesn't stress any physical movements at first, it's all mental. And despite the martial arts that these bending forms are based off of being physical disciplines, the larger goal to a martial art is to master discipline itself.
To master the bending disciplines, you must first master discipline itself.
To work at something and master it because you had the mental fortitude to keep it up. Despite the grueling training and the physical demands, you had the mental toughness to keep going. The term Kung Fu translates roughly into a bunch of things, but one of those things is hard training, or in other words, bitter work. You can actually see the town they had their showdown with Azula and off in the background in this shot, and a few other shots. Alright, I finally get to get into this too. I hate the term lightning bending. The way Iroh describes it, it doesn't feel like he's bending it.
Remember, once you separate the energy, you do not command it. You are simply its humble guide.
And not once in the show does anyone say anything even close to the term lightning bending. Iroh describes it as being the lightning's humble guide. Like, just because you created it doesn't mean you control it. But what is bending? Completely controlling an element. You can do pretty much whatever you want with it as long as you can figure out the correct motion. No one's doing flips in the air and shooting 3 bolts of lightning, curving around corners and shit. This is something different. I feel like the term lightning generation fits a lot better for what's actually shown on screen. Does anyone else feel like Zuko's scar, and specifically his eye on his scarred side, looked really weird for the majority of this episode?
Instead of moving a rock, you're going to stop a rock. Get in your horse stance.
Did you guys ever wonder why this is called a horse stance? I literally have no idea, but my only thought is that this is kind of how your body would be resting if you were riding a horse. Am I right? I bet I'm right.
I'm going to roll that boulder down at you. If you have the attitude of an earthbender, you'll stay in your stance and stop the rock.
I mean, realistically, this is a pretty shitty way to teach someone. What if Aang thought he had it and just didn't and just died? You have to give Toph some leeway too, though. This is her first experience being a teacher, if you think about it. At the same time, this has got to be pretty hard for Aang. He got his airbending tattoos before he turned 13, and he picked up on at least the basics of waterbending pretty much instantly. His mental block here might actually have something to do with something from 100 years ago too, and I'll bring that up in a minute.
Why can't I do it? Instead of lightning, it keeps exploding in my face. Like everything always does.
This is Zuko approaching rock bottom, self-loathing and everything. We've never heard him talk down about himself, basically. It's always been pure pride and thinking he deserves better. But here, we can see the armor that Song and Lee put chips and dents in begin to crack.
Zuko, you must let go of your feelings of shame if you want your anger to go away.
But I don't feel any shame at all. I'm as proud as ever.
Prince Zuko, pride is not the opposite of shame, but its source. True humility is the only antidote to shame.
Another fucking heater from Iroh. Like, come on, dude. So poignant and succinct. Genius writing. Is this the same species of frog from back in the Blue Spirit? Looks pretty close.
Aang, if fire and water are opposites, then what's the opposite of air?
I guess it's Earth.
That's why it's so hard for you to get this. You're working with your natural opposite.
That's a really good way to think of it, and I'm pretty sure that no one would have put that together if it wasn't for Katara right now. Roku even pretty much confirms this way of thinking later on.
Waterbending was especially challenging for me. But in time, I mastered it as well.
Fire is the element of power. The people of the Fire Nation have desire and will, and the energy and drive to achieve what they want. Earth is the element of substance. The people of the Earth Kingdom are diverse and strong. They are persistent and enduring. Air is the element of freedom. The air nomads detached themselves from worldly concerns and found peace and freedom. Also, they apparently had pretty good senses of humor. Water is the element of change. The people of the water tribe are capable of adapting to many things. They have a deep sense of community and love that holds them together through anything.
Why are you telling me these things?
It is important to draw wisdom from many different places. If we take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale. Understanding others, the other elements, and the other nations will help you become whole.
Aang, I found these nuts in your bag. I figured you wouldn't mind. And besides, even if you did, you're too much of a to do anything about it.
I didn't edit that at all, I swear. That's legit.
I also have this great new nutcracker.
No, that checks out. Not like Aang would have any idea where his staff is on any other day of the week either.
It's a delicate instrument.
It's not the only delicate instrument around here.
Ha! Fucking got him!
Okay, karma person or thing, whoever's in charge of this stuff. If I can just get out of this situation alive, I will give up meat and sarcasm.
This is Sokka approaching rock bottom, self-loathing and everything. It's always been pure pride and thinking he deserves better. But here we can see the chips and dents that Song and Lee put in his armor. Wait, hold on, that doesn't seem right.
Sokka, are you okay?
Stop! You're gonna pull my fingers off, and I don't think the rest of me is coming. Well, if you can't earthbend me out of here, go get Toph.
I can't do that either.
You can't? Why not?
It would just be really uncomfortable.
Hard not to mention the obvious similarities between Zuko and Aang this episode as well. Both of them are struggling with their training and learning a new skill. And much like in the storm, we see that Zuko dives head on into his problems while Aang does his best to run from them. Once again, this episode strives to show us how alike our two leads are, while also showing us that they're still very different.
This whole earthbending thing really has me confused. There's so much pressure. Everyone expects me to get it right away. It puts me in a really awkward position.
So this is what I think is going through Aang's head here. Aang got airbending and waterbending pretty much right away. Similar to Zuko, Aang is still ruled by that one day in the past, the day that the monks told him he was the Avatar, and he ran away. They needed him, and he failed them. Up until this point, he hasn't hit any roadblocks when it actually came to physically learning bending. But now, the people that need him, his friends, and the world at large, like the monks needed him, are in jeopardy because he can't figure it out. And just like before, he wants to run from this problem.
Really? He looks nothing like a saber-toothed moose lion.
It's hard to tell before their giant teeth and horns grow in. What you doing out here, little guy? Did you lose your mama?
Oh, this reminds me of my long-held belief that if horses were carnivorous, there would be no other living thing on the planet. Earth would just be a bunch of horses eating each other.
The stomach is the source of energy in your body. It is called the Sea of Chi. Only in my case, it is more like a vast ocean.
Actually, fuck you. That was a good one, Iroh. Zuko makes for a bad crowd.
I thought that was the point. You teaching me how to protect myself from it.
Yeah, but I'm not going to shoot lightning at you. If you're lucky, you will never have to use this technique at all.
Oh, he's gonna have to use that technique at all, isn't he? You guys ever realize that they still have Song's ostrich horse? Give Song back your damn horse!
Please, Aang, you have to earthbend me out. There's no other way.
Nah, he should've went for the trembler.
Ooh, look at me!
Aang does pretty much the same dance here that he did on stage way back in The Deserter. This is a good old Bad News Bears moment, where the kid couldn't get it in practice, but when it comes down to it, in the moment of truth, he pulls it off. He's even in the same stance that Toph told him to use, look!
Enough! I want my staff back!
This is the culmination of everything that Toph was trying to get out of Aang. For him to, no pun intended, stand his ground. Get that correct mentality to put your foot down. Aang didn't get that, and now he shows that he does and stands up to Toph, which is exactly what Toph was trying to incite by being a dick earlier. Just really strong character rating for both Aang and Toph.
Do it!
Fuck!
The whole time I was in that hole, not knowing if I would live or die, it makes a man think about what's really important. I realized.
Hey, Katara, look what I can do!
Man, why you gotta do Sokka like that?
You tried the positive reinforcement, didn't you?
Yep, it worked wonders.
She kinda did, right? She fired him up right at the very end. That counts.
You've always thrown everything you could at me. Well, I can take it. And now I can give it back!
This scene is really powerful, if a little melodramatic. This is Zuko finally reaching his lowest point, literally screaming at the universe to test him again. It's not long, Zuko gets a few really good lines in and breaks down. You guys know I'm a fan of brevity, so this scene does really well for me. I feel like if this scene went on for even a little bit longer, it could have felt pretty hammy. What's cool though is that we actually do start to see Zuko mellow out after this episode, little by little. This is absolutely his lowest point, and this is where he starts his climb back up. So, this episode's awesome. It just continues the train of amazing episodes Book 2 offers up. Not a whole lot happens, but the characters and their struggles are so interesting that they can easily carry an entire episode by just being in one place and doing one thing. Aang and Zuko's stories mirror each other, but Iroh and Toph's teaching methods are also reflections of one another too, and both of their students are non-responsive because of their unique personalities. God, it folds over on itself like 20 times. It's awesome. I do like Zuko and Iroh's story more, which is pretty much par for the course at this point, but that's not to say that Aang and Toph's was bad at all. And then there was Sokka. He was stuck in a hole, and he did stand up the entire episode. That was fine, I guess. I didn't really care how cute the moose lion was, sorry to admit. Patron shoutouts, if you want to see the next 2 episodes of Overanalyzing Avatar right now, they're available on Patreon for just a few bucks. Link is in the description down below. Most enormous shoutouts go to Fritz Sullivan, who can walk on water. Just got offered a job for some reason, who can swim through land. Keegan Scott, who bought a home for every single homeless person in his town. Skylos, who can defy gravity. He just needs his mom to sign the permission slip is all. And Zoompy, who's actually a psychic alien who's been controlling me for the past 4 years. Please help! Other giant shoutouts go to my other top patrons: Be My Valentine, Coconut, Derek Cornwell, DJ Jax, Do Mutual Aid, Eleonora Rose, Garmer, Glintlock, Most Super of Snippers, Nicholas Abbott, Flarkler, Glass, and Tiago Nascimento. Next up is The Library? Jesus, when is the next bad episode? Season 3? Oh, wait, no, yeah, that checks out.